Hi, this is Nicholas Yock, a registered education and migration agent from Pathway to Oz. Today I'm going to discuss with you, a question we're always asked: can a family member sponsor my visa to Australia? So look, a lot of potential applicants will have parents or siblings or cousins or aunts or uncles who are living and permanent residents of Australia, and we're often asked can they sponsor my visa to come and live to Australia? The answer is potentially, but it's a lot more difficult than you'd think. So the visa that you're probably most referring to is or most relevant visa would be the family sponsored subclass 491 visa. The problem with this visa is that a lot of people want to apply for it, and the demand far outweighs the supply. In addition to this, you also need to have your relative needs to be living in a regional area, so outside Sydney, Melbourne and Brisbane. Who can sponsor? So, who can sponsor you to come to Australia? The person must be over 18, live in a regional area, be an Australian citizen or permanent resident, and, be an eligible relative. So who is an eligible relative? Well, it's a parent, a child, a brother, a sister, aunt, uncle, nephew, niece, grandparent, or a first cousin. A list you can check out below. So as we mentioned before, the difficulty with this is not having an eligible, sponsor, an eligible family member who can sponsor you. The difficulty for this is that there's not many of these visas issued every year, and the demand far outweighs the supply. So the 491 family sponsored stream is points tested, and you must also receive, before applying for it, you must also have a full skill assessment in an occupation on the list. So because it is so popular, currently for the family sponsored 491, I think you needed like 95 points just to get an invitation. On the other hand, for like the state nominated or the 491 regional nominated, you can often get an invitation with a lot lower points. So what are the steps required to apply for this visa? Well, obviously first you need to have an eligible family member who can sponsor you. You need to pass a skill assessment in an occupation on the list. You must submit an expression of interest and have a really high number of points. And then you've just got to wait for immigration to give you an invitation. Look, if you have like 75, 80 points with the 491 family sponsored, you're probably not going to get an invitation. Whereas if you have that with a lot of the other, the state nominated or the skilled regional, you might get an invitation. So the only other visa I could think of, which is sort of like family sponsored except for a partner visa or the 491 family sponsored visa, is the parent visa. So if you are a permanent resident or a citizen living and working in Australia, you may be able to sponsor your parent to come to Australia. There's a separate video on this, but please note this visa it's very expensive, and it takes forever to process because obviously there's such a demand. Everyone wants to bring their parents to Australia. So if you don't do the contributory section of this, it can take, upwards of 20 years to get the invitation. Look, so I hope that gives you sort of a bit of a general overview of, if you can get a family sponsored visa to Australia. If you do have any questions, feel free to contact Pathway to Oz. Thank you.